YouTube, I'm sorry. I did you all dirty, and I apologize. I didn't know, but I know now. I know how to play Chronicon. I know what I was missing from the past on my old build videos. I know it's only 2 videos, but I'm sorry. Okay? Those have potential to be good builds. They have potential to be great builds. But I fucked up. I didn't realize how deep this game goes. But I know now. And I know the light of transmutation. I did not know you could take unique properties from a legendary item or any item and place it into a rune and put that rune on other items. You know what this means? You know what this means? It blew my mind, that's what that means. But also, it opened the door for so many build possibilities. And it's crazy. You know, I really just play this game kind of on the casual. You know, I don't get too invested in it as much as I'd want to. But just sitting here thinking, I don't even know. Like, so many possibilities. But without further ado, let's get into today's build, which is going to be a bleed leap build with a little spice thrown in there. All right. So without further ado, let's hop right into the items. Items, like I said, with the transmutation, it's gonna be a little bit different here. So you're gonna see some of the items that have other items in the name, essentially. So we'll just kind of go through them piece by piece. I will start off saying that the base items that I run with this build are gonna be the blood-soaked armor, storm chasers, gritstone, boomerang, and resolution. Now, getting into each specific item by themselves. So starting off with the set, we are running blood-soaked set, of course. Reason why is, I feel like you can't run a bleed build without using the blood-soaked armor set. Like, come on. It's going to increase hemorrhage damage per stack, also allowing it to stack infinitely. But mainly, we are intrigued by its third piece, which is internal hemorrhage is twice as effective when applied by non-stone skills. This is pretty dope, not gonna lie. So basically what this means is, as long as you don't use a stone skill, if it can cause an enemy to bleed, or if it can cause internal hemorrhage, it's going to be twice as effective, meaning I think it's going to last twice as long, which doesn't really matter, but it's also going to do twice the damage as well. Also, with the third piece, foes who die under the effect of internal hemorrhage erupt an explosion of blood, dealing 250% total remaining damage of the effect to all foes within 3 meters. So essentially, not only are we stacking infinite internal hemorrhages, when they die, we get benefit from all those remaining stacks. So the name of this game here, I hope you already saw it here, is we're not going after the big boys. All right, we're going off this small fries to stack as many stacks as we can, finishing them off as quickly as possible, and letting them all explode into a beautiful storm of blood. And we can't forget its 4-piece, which reduces damage taken by 40%. So that pretty much covers all the 4-piece there. We're running the helm, chest, gloves, and fist weapon. Now, getting into the runes here, we are running lifeguard on our helmet. It reduces damage taken from all sources, including indirect damage by 32 currently on my helmet. Basically running this for survivability reasons. Like I said, we're not in it to do max, we're not in it to do crazy initial damage, we're in it for the long con here. Getting into our amulet, like I said, we are running the gritstone, which is cool. It's a cool item. I dig it, especially since we run stone skin on our bar. But it now provides immunity to poison and bleed effects while active. In addition, all stone skills get a percentile increased damage. This is crazy, okay? Being immune to any ailment, whether I barely see bleed on me or poison, still, that's free damage reduction. 100% free damage reduction. Also, increased damage, yes. And then on top of this, the rune, we have Frostborn Heirloom, which, look, it's a good item. You fight me on that, okay? I think it's amazing. It gives us a shield. I've seen this thing protect me so many times. I've also seen it kill me so many times. But either way, I think it's a great item, especially since we blow through our rage so quick anyways. It's constant survivability. Then on our chest, we are running Ragnarok Guard, which is even better of an item. Stone Skin also applies Dragon Scales, and the effect of both skills increased by 63%. Are you kidding me? You kidding me? So Stone Skin is giving us physical reduction, and Dragon Scales is giving us non-physical reduction, and all that's doubled, or all that's increased by 63%, along with our damage increase? Ugh, please. That's a no-brainer right there. Then we're jumping down to our boots here. We have Storm Chasers on as our main boot, which increase damage by 15% for each twister, and similar type effect within 5 meters. Since we are running the Arctic Leap and doing the Frost ones out of the Frost Tree, we are getting these twisters out on the ground, applying our bleed and increasing our damage. And of course, this wouldn't be a freaking leap build if we didn't have the Brutal Stompers. If you don't know, Brutal Stompers removes the cooldown and mana cost from Leap, Dragon Leap, and Arctic Leap, so essentially means since it's our main skill, it's also our main source of movement too. Who would have thunk it? Jumping into our accessory now. We are running the Resolution. I can't say that first part, so that's why I'm saying Resolution. Adds a 15% chance on kill to grant a random buff that lasts 15 seconds. Now, I don't know if this is necessarily the best item for the accessory. I actually know for a fact that it's probably not, but I'm not gonna lie, I kind of dig it, okay? I haven't done a super amount of testing with figuring out what buffs it actually provides just because I'm a casual monkey, but for the most part, I kind of dig it. From the buffs I've seen, it's pretty dope. I mean, and since we're going on 700 kill sprees and up, might as well, we're getting buffs constantly from this thing. Also, as the rune, we are running Pain Grinder because since it is a bleed build, might as well get that 206% increased damage to our bleed and thorns. All around good. All around good. On our weapon, I don't really have a good one for this. I just went with a Simplicity rune. All base skills deal 200% increased damage. Might as well. We're leaping a lot. We're doing Shattering Roar, Stone Fist. Might as well increase that damage. Plus, I think that indirectly affects our Eternal Hemorrhage as well. So it's pretty good. Next on our gloves, we are running Winter Rage. This one is a must-have in my opinion because Arctic Leap generates twice as much rage on hit and deal 112 increased damage. So that means our base leap is just going to do a lot more damage, and we're going to go through a rage release a lot quicker to my knowledge. Now jumping over to our last item on our ring, which we are running the Boom Ring. Foes explode upon death, dealing 11% of their maximum health as ethereal damage to all foes within 3 meters. Similar effect to our Internal Hemorrhage on our 3-piece. So essentially, since we're already getting them down to, explode on death, might as well add more explosive damage on there. And especially since we're getting the higher mythics, their health pools are going to be bigger, so that just results into bigger damage. And then as the rune on here, we have Tiara's Binding, which gives us 25 to all resistance and elements, which is amazing. Now, lastly, something that I haven't really been doing in the videos is covering over gems. Now, I think gems are pretty straightforward for the most part. I mean, you're going to want to try to build what your, the theme of your spec is, right? So in this case, we're going to be wanting to build bleed damage or frost damage if we can. And then from there, it's really just maximum health and whatever you want to do. But specifically try to pick up frost and bleed damage, of course. Also, anything that does like damage foes hit for 96% frost damage instantly, yes, pick those up. They're good. Trust me. They're good. Let's get into why you're really here, and that's going to be the skills. Now, starting off with our active skills, we are running Rallying Cry on our left click, Arctic Leap on our right. On our 1 through 4 keys, we have Stone Fist, Shattering Roar, Stone Skin, and Earthen Strength. And then as a little spice on top of that, we are running a Codex, which is just the spell scroll Frozen Fate. Now you could sub this out for a lot of different spell scrolls. I'm not necessarily going to get into that because they're additive. But do keep in mind they're out there and they can add a lot to the build that you're going with. Now getting to actual skills here, the skill trees, we are mainly spec'd into Guardian and Frostborn. We do not dip into Dragonkin or Skylord at all, just because this build's pretty specific outside of the past ones that I have. So basically the key things here, you got to pick up, of course, a Stone Skin, Stone Fist, Shattering Roar, and Earth and Strength for the active abilities. Now getting into the passive and runes, the biggest one here is, of course, Internal Hemorrhage, speccing that all the way over to Bloodbath, which just increases our internal hemorrhage, increasing health regeneration and attack speed of us, which is nice. Attack speed not so much, but the health regeneration is good. Also, Cripple, it slows them, but no one really cares about slowing them. Otherwise, you do want to make sure you pick up at the very top Hunger. This basically all Berserker attacks deal 30% more damage towards foes with less than 20% health. Easy free damage. And also, big must here is with Stone Fist, you do want to pick up Bruised and Strong Fist. This is going to make it so Bruised foes become weakened, take more damage, and Strong Fist increases our physical damage by 20%, which thus increases our bleed damage a little bit more. Otherwise, I don't spec anything into roughness. I just pick up Primal Nature on Stone Skin, and I pick up Trauma on Shattering Roar, and I do finish out the bottom with Quake, Stalagmites, and Earth and Sky. Now that does it for the Guardian tree. Getting over to the Frostborn tree, now, yes, it's pretty straightforward for the most part. At the top here, we're going to pick up Rallying Cry, and Renaissance, and Inspire. Now, if you're going for smaller, lower mythic clears, you can swap out Rallying Cry for War Cry. Both are acceptable. And then a must-have here is Arctic Leap with Chilled, which means foes struck by Arctic Leap become weakened and take 15% more damage. Yes. I mean, come on, pair that with Stone Fists. We're doing like 30% increased damage for just using our abilities. It's easy. Lastly, here, two big things that you want to pick up, of course, are Frost Winds and Razor Ice. Razor Ice is a must-have for this build because Frost skills may also trigger Internal Hemorrhage from the Guardian tree. So basically Arctic Leap is going to be triggering, and also our Frost Winds have a good chance of triggering, and since we're getting most, I think a max of like 5 out at a time in close compact clusters and groups, it's just going to be even more stacks of Internal Hemorrhage. Otherwise, I pick up Focused at the bottom here, into Rage Release, into Anger Management, and that's pretty much about it for the skills. It's kind of straightforward when you're looking at it, but it took me a while to figure out the magic combination of these skills. So there's really not a whole lot of wiggle room here. Otherwise, lastly, let's check into the masteries. With the masteries, I don't know. I'm torn. I feel like it's pretty straightforward. I know I say this a lot, but I don't know. When I look at the masteries, it's pretty easy. I mean, we're gonna get physical damage starting up the Guardian tree up at the very top. Physical damage, Guardian Spikes, Always Angry, Persistent, Rage Unleashed, Slaughter, increases internal hemorrhage damage, Bloody Pulp, Wide Synergy, and Physical Affinity. And then jumping down to the way bottom here, we're going to pick up Frost Damage, Blizzards, Natural Cool, Dense Ice, Seer, Chill of the North, Winterborn, Internal Hemorrhage Synergy, which increases our internal hemorrhage even more, Frost Affinity. And lastly, for the 3 class masteries here, you can pick whatever, really. You can't go wrong here. I mean, the key things that I think you should pick up that help me out is going to be Willpower, Fortress, Physical Damage, of course, Blade Damage, jumping down to the bottom one here, Challenger, because we're always fighting crown foes, it seems like, Bling, increase our gem strength, frost damage, and that's really about it. Otherwise, the rest of those skills you can really mix and match them however you want. Pick a different order, I don't care. Biggest things here is picking up your physical damage, frost damage, bleed damage, and some survivability along the way. With that being said, that pretty much does it for the mastery, so let's get into how this build works. Now, let's get into how this build works. Now, I alluded to kind of how it works previously in this video, but the main goal with this build is to leap from pack to pack to pack, applying our internal hemorrhage, which is going to be twice as effective, and then constantly making sure we have earth and strength up, along with stone skin and stone fist with riling cry in there. That's going to increase our survivability, our damage, give us cooldown reduction and attack speed, which again we don't necessarily care, but essentially that's just going to keep us buffed and moving forward. Constantly leaping while those are up, and then constantly making sure we are activating Shattering War when it's off cooldown. This is going to provide some good initial burst damage, also will allow us to finish off some of those smaller creatures, which cause the chain reaction of our internal hemorrhage to finish everything off. Because the goal here isn't to go for that burst initial damage, hitting those big numbers. Nah, what we want to do is we want to try to apply as many stacks as possible. That way, when one creature dies, it does that remaining damage, or does that 250% damage of the total stacks remaining of internal hemorrhage. And then also pairing that with our boom ring just means right as that one creature pops, the rest of them are going to follow suit. Otherwise, the biggest thing you want to make sure is getting your kind of standing next to your twisters as well. That's going to increase your damage, but I understand that sometimes packs just won't let you stand next to them for very long. So a lot of it's kind of one of those things where you go pack, and then you double back on them and kill them that way. So realistically, don't think you have to stand next to your twisters. The twisters are there just for extra damage, like on single target damage, like the end of the boss of like mythic runs and stuff like that, just depending on what runs you do. This build excels in group damage and solo target damage as well because of that aspect of it. It's not as strong as in group, but with the twisters it kind of helps out, and you're stacking so many internal hemorrhages that the thing's just gonna bleed to death before you know it. Alright, well that's the build. I hope you enjoyed it. I think it's a pretty good contender for the leap builds, at least from what I've tested, messed around with. I think it's pretty fun to play. I enjoy stomping onto mobs and watching them just all explode once that internal hemorrhage gets popped. So go ahead, give it a try, see what you think. If you think there's anything different I could do with the build, please let me know. More the merrier. Otherwise, that's going to do it for me today. I plan on getting more Chronicon videos out there, so I apologize for the delay. Also, I got some other games down the pipeline. So, like I said, take it easy, enjoy the rest of your day, and stay tuned.